The rain lashes against the panoramic windows of my study, each drop a tiny drumbeat against the glass, echoing the storm raging outside and, frankly, inside me. It's late, the kind of late where the world outside feels like a distant memory, swallowed by the relentless downpour and the impenetrable darkness of the surrounding woods. My whiskey, amber and still, offers little comfort tonight. I trace the rim of the heavy crystal glass, the chill seeping into my fingertips, a stark contrast to the simmering unease in my gut. The mansion, usually a fortress of quiet power, groans under the assault of the wind, every creak and shudder amplified by the isolation. I'm reviewing reports, numbers that represent lives and livelihoods, when a faint, almost imperceptible sound cuts through the storm's roar, a whimper, fragile and desperate, coming from somewhere in the depths of my own home. My breath catches. It shouldn't be there. Nothing should be there. The whimper, thin and reedy, slices through the cacophony of the storm, a sound so out of place in my meticulously controlled existence that it feels like a physical blow. My hand, which moments before had been idly tracing the condensation on my whiskey glass, now clenches into a fist, knuckles white against the dark wood of my desk. Every nerve ending in my body screams alert, a primal instinct honed over decades of navigating treacherous waters. This mansion, my sanctuary, my fortress against the chaos of the world I command, is supposed to be impenetrable, a silent testament to my power and foresight. Yet, this fragile sound, barely audible above the wind's mournful howl, shatters that illusion with terrifying ease. My gaze sweeps across the room, past the expensive art, the leather-bound books, the silent surveillance monitors that usually offer a comforting blanket of omniscience. They show nothing amiss, only the relentless rain distorting the infrared view of the perimeter. But the sound, it's real, and it's close. A tiny, desperate tremor that vibrates through the very foundations of my carefully constructed world, demanding an immediate, unsettling investigation that I am ill-prepared to undertake, despite my usual readiness for any threat. The routine, the quiet contemplation, the illusion of peace, all of it evaporates in an instant, replaced by a cold, hard knot of dread tightening in my stomach. I push away from the desk, the heavy leather chair groaning in protest, a sound that feels deafening in the sudden silence I impose upon myself, straining to hear it again over the storm. My mind, usually a steel trap of strategic calculations, races through possibilities, each one more unsettling than the last. An intruder? Impossible. My security protocols are legendary, a network of unseen eyes and unheard alarms that would have alerted me long before any unauthorized presence could penetrate this deep. A malfunction? Unlikely, given the triple redundancy of every system. No, this is something else, something organic, something human. The thought sends a shiver down my spine, a sensation I haven't felt in years, not since I learned to master fear and wield it as a weapon. This isn't the fear of an enemy. It's the unsettling dread of the unknown, of an anomaly that threatens to unravel the very fabric of my carefully ordered universe, a universe where every variable is accounted for, every risk mitigated, and every outcome, ideally, predetermined by my will. The silence stretches, punctuated only by the storm's fury, and then, fainter this time, the whimper returns, a ghost of a sound, pulling me inexorably towards its source. My footsteps are silent on the polished marble floors as I move through the dimly lit corridors, the mansion's vastness amplifying the sense of isolation. The low, ambient lighting, usually a source of sophisticated comfort, now casts long, dancing shadows that seem to twist and writhe with malevolent intent. Each step I take is deliberate, my senses hyper-alert, scanning every alcove, every closed door, every piece of expensive furniture that might conceal a threat. My hand instinctively brushes against the cold, smooth grip of the weapon holstered beneath my jacket, a familiar weight that offers a sliver of reassurance in this disorienting moment. The air grows colder as I descend towards the lower levels, away from the main living areas, towards the less frequently used wings of the house, where guest suites and storage rooms lie in quiet dormancy. The storm outside seems to intensify, the wind howling like a banshee, rattling the thick glass panes, as if trying to warn me, or perhaps to mock my futile search for answers within these walls. The whimper, though still faint, is undeniably guiding me, a fragile thread leading me deeper into the heart of this unexpected mystery. A mystery I am beginning to suspect is far more personal than any business rival or territorial dispute. The sound leads me to one of the rarely used guest suites, a room designed for comfort but now shrouded in an unsettling stillness. The door is ajar, just a crack, a sliver of darkness that feels like an invitation to a nightmare. My heart pounds a heavy rhythm against my ribs, a drumbeat of anticipation and apprehension. I push the door open slowly, the hinges making no sound, revealing a scene that instantly freezes the blood in my veins. The room is in disarray, not violently so, but enough to suggest a struggle, a desperate attempt to resist. A chair is overturned, a lamp lies shattered on the plush carpet, and the heavy drapes are torn from their moorings, letting in slivers of moonlight that cut through the storm clouds, casting an eerie glow on the figure huddled in the corner. It's a girl, young, no older than 20, her body a tight ball of fear and vulnerability, her wrists and ankles bound with thick dark rope. Her eyes, wide with terror, meet mine, and in them, I see not defiance, but a raw, desperate plea that cuts through my carefully constructed defenses like a razor. This is not a rival, not a threat. This is a victim, and her presence here is an unforgivable breach of my domain. My world operates on a strict code, a set of unwritten rules forged in the crucible of power and survival. We deal with enemies, with rivals, with those who understand the game. We do not involve innocents, especially not young women in our conflicts. This is a line, a fundamental boundary that, once crossed, unravels the very legitimacy of our operations, reducing us to mere thugs, something I have always strived to rise above. Her presence here, bound and terrified, is an affront to everything I stand for, a violation of the unspoken tenets that govern my empire. It speaks of a recklessness, a disregard for protocol, a sheer brutality that I find abhorrent. My gaze hardens, not at her, but at the unseen hand that placed her here, at the audacity of whoever dared to bring this kind of chaos into my home, into my life. This isn't just an intrusion, it's a challenge, a deliberate act of provocation designed to destabilize, to anger, to force my hand in a way I never anticipated. The girl, a mere pawn, becomes a symbol of this transgression, and the fury that begins to simmer within me is cold, precise, and utterly terrifying. I take a slow, deliberate step into the room, my presence filling the space with an unspoken authority that makes her flinch, her small body trembling visibly. My eyes scan every inch of the room, searching for clues, for any sign of who brought her here, how they bypassed my security, and what their ultimate objective might be. The air is thick with the scent of fear, a metallic tang that prickles my nostrils, mingling with the faint, sweet smell of something vaguely antiseptic, perhaps from a cloth used to silence her. There are no obvious signs of a struggle beyond the overturned furniture, no blood, no overt violence, which only deepens the mystery. This was a precise operation, executed with a chilling efficiency that speaks of professional training, not amateur desperation. The thought sends a fresh wave of unease through me. Someone is sending a message, and this girl is the unfortunate medium. The question is, what message, and to whom? Is it for me? Or is she merely collateral damage in a larger, more intricate scheme that has yet to fully reveal itself? The storm outside continues its relentless assault, mirroring the turmoil that has suddenly erupted within the quiet confines of my mansion. My gaze returns to her, huddled against the wall, her face pale, streaked with tears, her eyes pleading. I see the fear, yes, but also a flicker of something else, a desperate spark of hope that I, the imposing figure now standing over her, might be her salvation. It's a dangerous assumption on her part, and a dangerous thought for me to entertain. My world is not one of saviors. It is one of predators and prey, of calculated risks and ruthless decisions. Yet, the raw vulnerability in her gaze is disarming, a stark contrast to the hardened faces I usually encounter. I need information, and she is the only source. My voice, when it finally comes, is low and gravelly, a sound I rarely use, reserved for moments of absolute command or profound displeasure. "Who are you?" I ask, the words cutting through the tense silence, demanding an answer that I know will only deepen the labyrinthine complexity of this unexpected night. My posture remains rigid, unyielding, but internally a subtle shift has begun, a crack in the impenetrable facade I present to the world, a crack caused by the sheer, undeniable humanity of the situation. Her lips part, a dry, rasping sound escaping, before she manages to whisper, "Please, I am begging you. Untie me." The words, simple and direct, resonate with a profound desperation that bypasses my usual defenses. It's not a demand, not a threat, but a raw, unfiltered plea for basic human decency, a plea that echoes in the cavernous silence of the room, momentarily silencing the storm outside. The phrase, so utterly devoid of guile or manipulation, strikes a chord deep within me, a place I thought long dead, buried under layers of cynicism and ruthless pragmatism. I see the raw chafing marks on her wrists, the way her fingers are numbly curled, the visible strain in her shoulders from being held in such a position for what must have been hours. My eyes narrow, not in anger at her, but at the perpetrators of this act. This isn't how we operate. This isn't honor. This is crude, barbaric, and utterly beneath the standards I demand from anyone associated with my name. The request, so simple, yet so loaded with implications, forces a decision upon me, a choice that will undoubtedly have far-reaching consequences, consequences I am already beginning to weigh with a heavy heart. The plea hangs in the air, a fragile thread connecting her desperate reality to my unyielding world. My mind races, calculating the risks, the implications of such an act. Untying her means acknowledging her, engaging with her, bringing her fully into the dangerous orbit of my life. It means breaking the cardinal rule of non-involvement with innocence, a rule that has protected my organization from unnecessary scrutiny and moral complications for decades. But leaving her bound, leaving her in this state, feels wrong. It feels like an abdication of a responsibility I didn't ask for, but one that has been thrust upon me within the confines of my own home. The storm outside rages on, a fitting backdrop to the internal tempest brewing within me, a battle between cold logic and an unexpected, unwelcome surge of something akin to empathy. My reputation, my authority, my very existence is built on control, on never showing weakness, on never allowing emotion to cloud judgment. Yet, looking at her, a profound sense of unease settles over me, a feeling that doing nothing would be a greater weakness than any perceived breach of protocol. Her presence here is a deliberate act of sabotage, a calculated move by an unseen enemy to disrupt my operations, to force my hand. This much is clear, but the nature of the sabotage, the specific message they intend to send, remains shrouded in mystery. Is she bait? A distraction? A living bomb waiting to explode in my face? Every fiber of my being screams caution, warns me against impulsive action, against allowing sentiment to dictate strategy. My security chief, a man whose loyalty is absolute and whose methods are as ruthless as my own, would advise immediate interrogation, a thorough vetting, a cold clinical assessment of her value and threat. But the raw terror in her eyes, the genuine desperation in her voice, speaks of a different reality, one where she is merely a pawn, caught in a game far beyond her comprehension. I need to understand her story, not just for her sake, but for mine. Her identity, her connection to this situation, holds the key to unraveling this unwelcome intrusion, to identifying the architect of this audacious breach. I take another step, closing the distance between us, my shadow falling over her small, trembling form. The air crackles with unspoken tension, a palpable energy that makes the hairs on my arms stand on end. My eyes, accustomed to dissecting every detail, every nuance of a situation, take in her appearance. Simple, unassuming clothes, a small, almost childlike frame, no obvious signs of wealth or power. She is, by all appearances, exactly what she seems, a civil innocent, caught in a web she doesn't understand. This only deepens the moral quagmire I find myself in. My code dictates that I protect my own, that I eliminate threats, that I maintain order. It does not, however, provide a clear directive for dealing with a helpless girl found bound in my guest suite during a raging storm. The silence stretches, heavy and pregnant with unspoken questions, as I consider my next move, knowing that whatever I do, the consequences will be profound and irreversible, forever altering the trajectory of this night, and perhaps, my future. The memory of a cold, moonless night, years ago, flashes through my mind. A young woman, not much older than this girl, caught in the crossfire of a territorial dispute, her life extinguished by a stray bullet meant for someone else. The image, though fleeting, is vivid, a stark reminder of the collateral damage that can occur when lines are blurred, when the innocent are drawn into our brutal world. That night, I swore it would never happen again, that my operations would always maintain a clear distinction between combatants and civilians, that my code, however harsh, would protect those outside the game. Now, looking at this girl, bound and terrified, I feel the weight of that oath pressing down on me, a heavy burden that threatens to crack the stoic facade I present to the world. This isn't just about her. It's about the integrity of my own principles, the very foundation upon which my authority rests. To ignore her plight, to leave her to whatever fate awaits, would be to betray that oath, to become the very thing I despise. A ruthless opportunist with no moral compass. The immediate threat is not her, but the unknown entity that placed her here. My security is compromised, my sanctuary violated. This is an act of war, a declaration of intent from an adversary bold enough to breach my inner sanctum. My thoughts shift from the girl to the larger game, the intricate dance of power and betrayal that defines my existence. Who would dare? And why? The answers, I realize with a chilling certainty, lie with her. She is the key, the unwitting messenger, and her safety, ironically, becomes paramount not just for her own sake, but for mine. If she is harmed or silenced before I can extract the necessary information, then this entire elaborate charade will have been for naught, leaving me vulnerable and exposed. The storm outside howls, a primal scream that seems to echo the rising tension within me, a tension born of a sudden, unexpected vulnerability that I am unaccustomed to and deeply resentful of. The room, though spacious, feels claustrophobic, the air thick with the unspoken questions and the palpable fear emanating from the girl. My gaze sweeps over the details again. The overturned chair, the shattered lamp, the torn drapes. These are not the signs of a gentle abduction. This was forceful, terrifying, a violation of her autonomy. My mind reconstructs the scene, imagining her struggle, her desperate cries, her eventual succumbing to overwhelming force. The thought ignites a cold fury within me, a protective instinct I rarely allow myself to feel, especially not for a stranger. But this is my home, my territory, and this act of aggression, this blatant disregard for my authority, cannot go unpunished. The girl, though a victim, is now inextricably linked to my honor, to my reputation. To allow her to remain in this state, to allow her captors to believe they have succeeded in their audacious plan, would be to invite further incursions, further challenges to my dominance. I force myself to breathe, a slow, measured intake of air, trying to regain the composure that is my hallmark. Panic, even a flicker of it, is a luxury I cannot afford. My mind, usually a finely tuned instrument of strategic analysis, begins to sift through the chaos, searching for a logical path forward. First, her safety. Second, information. Third, retribution. The order is clear, the steps precise. But the emotional component, the unexpected surge of something akin to protectiveness, complicates the equation, threatening to derail the cold, calculated logic that has always guided my decisions. The storm outside continues its relentless assault, each crash of thunder a punctuation mark to the internal struggle unfolding within me, a struggle between the hardened pragmatist and the faint, almost imperceptible whisper of a conscience I thought I had long since silenced. My hand reaches for the small, ornate dagger I keep concealed in my sleeve, a tool for precision, for swift, silent action. The polished steel gleams faintly in the dim light, reflecting the flickering shadows on the walls. Her eyes widen further, a fresh wave of terror washing over her face, and she recoils as much as her bindings allow, a small, choked gasp escaping her lips. She misunderstands my intent, believes I am about to inflict further harm, to silence her permanently. The realization stings, a bitter taste in my mouth. This is the world I inhabit, a world where a simple gesture can be misinterpreted as a prelude to violence. Quiet, I command, my voice still low, but with an edge of authority that brooks no argument. I'm not going to hurt you. The words feel alien on my tongue, a promise I rarely make, and one I intend to keep, at least for now. The blade, sharp and precise, is not for her, but for the ropes that bind her. A tentative first step towards unraveling this unexpected crisis. The ropes are thick, expertly tied, designed to hold, to inflict discomfort, but not to cause permanent injury. A professional job, confirming my earlier assessment. My fingers work quickly, efficiently. The years of training in various forms of restraint and escape now ironically applied to a task of liberation. As the first knot loosens, a small sigh of relief escapes her lips, a sound so fragile it almost breaks my concentration. I feel the tension in her muscles, the rigid fear that has held her captive, slowly begin to dissipate as the bonds around her wrists fall away. She rubs them instinctively, her skin red and chafed, but no deeper wounds. My gaze remains fixed on her, searching for any sign of deception, any hint of a trap. But all I see is exhaustion, relief, and a profound, almost childlike vulnerability. This is not an act. This is genuine. The realization solidifies my resolve. Whoever did this will pay. The last of the ropes fall away, and she slowly, tentatively, uncurls from her defensive posture, her limbs stiff and aching. She looks up at me, her eyes still wide, but now with a flicker of something new. Gratitude, perhaps, mixed with lingering fear. The silence stretches between us, punctuated only by the relentless drumming of the rain against the windows. I holster the dagger, the small click a sharp sound in the quiet room. Tell me everything, I say, my voice firm, leaving no room for hesitation. Start from the beginning. Who are you? And why are you here? The questions hang in the air, heavy with unspoken urgency, demanding answers that will either condemn her or confirm her innocence. Answers that will dictate the next, dangerous steps I must take to reclaim control of my violated domain and restore the fragile balance of my world. This moment, this unexpected encounter, has irrevocably altered the course of my night, and perhaps the very nature of my existence. Her voice, when it comes, is a hesitant whisper, raspy from fear and disuse, a stark contrast to the storm's booming fury outside. My name is Elena, she begins, her gaze darting around the room as if expecting her captors to reappear at any moment. Her story unfolds in fragments, punctuated by trembling breaths and the occasional tear that traces a path down her pale cheek. She speaks of a quiet life, a small apartment in the city, a routine existence as a librarian, utterly disconnected from the shadowy world I inhabit. She was walking home from her evening shift, lost in thought, when a black SUV, nondescript and silent, pulled up beside her. Before she could react, a hand clamped over her mouth, another around her waist, and she was pulled inside, the world outside blurring into a terrifying kaleidoscope of streetlights and rain. The speed and efficiency of the abduction speak volumes, confirming my suspicion of professional involvement. A chilling testament to the ruthlessness of my unseen adversary. Her narrative, though disjointed, paints a picture of pure, unadulterated terror, a sudden plunge into a nightmare she never imagined. She describes the journey as a blur, blindfolded and disoriented, the constant rumble of the engine and the muffled voices of her captors the only sounds. She remembers the scent of leather and something metallic, a faint, almost imperceptible odor that she couldn't quite place. The drive felt endless, stretching into the darkest hours of the night, each bump and turn on the road intensifying her fear, her mind racing through every horrific scenario imaginable. She tried to scream, to fight, but their grip was unyielding, their silence absolute. They spoke in low tones, words she couldn't discern, their voices devoid of emotion, like automatons carrying out a grim task. The blindfold was removed only when they arrived, revealing the opulent yet unsettling interior of this very mansion. She was led, or rather pushed, into this room, bound, and left alone in the dark, the storm her only companion until my unexpected arrival. Her story is simple, direct, and utterly devoid of any embellishment. The raw truth of a civilian caught in the crossfire, a pawn in a game she doesn't even know is being played. My mind processes her words, sifting through them for inconsistencies, for any hint of a lie, but I find none. Her fear is too genuine, her confusion too profound. She is exactly what she claims to be, an innocent, a civilian, a victim. This realization solidifies the moral dilemma that has been gnawing at me. My code, my principles, demand that I protect her, that I rectify this egregious error. But doing so means exposing myself, my organization, to an unknown threat, to a level of scrutiny I meticulously avoid. The risk is immense, the potential fallout catastrophic. My empire is built on discretion, on operating in the shadows, on never drawing unnecessary attention. Her presence here, her story, threatens to shatter that carefully constructed facade, to drag me into the harsh glare of public exposure, a fate I dread more than any direct confrontation. The storm outside continues its relentless assault, each gust of wind a chilling reminder of the chaos that has now breached the walls of my carefully guarded sanctuary. "Do you know who brought you here?" I ask, my voice sharper than I intended, the urgency of the situation overriding my usual calm demeanor. She shakes her head, her eyes wide with renewed fear. "No, they didn't say anything. They just took me." Her answer, though expected, is frustrating. It means I have no immediate leads, no clear path to identify the perpetrators. This isn't a simple abduction, it's a message, a calculated move designed to destabilize, to provoke. But from whom? And why her? The questions swirl in my mind, a maelstrom of possibilities, each one more dangerous than the last. Is she connected to someone I've wronged? Is she a relative of a rival, used as leverage? Or is she truly random, a symbol of a broader attack, a warning shot fired across my bow? The lack of information is a weapon in itself, forcing me to operate in the dark, to guess at the intentions of an enemy who clearly understands the intricacies of psychological warfare. I pace the room, my thoughts a whirlwind of strategic calculations. My first priority is to secure her, to ensure her safety within these walls. My second is to understand the full scope of this intrusion, to identify the breach in my security, and to neutralize the threat. My third, and perhaps most pressing, is to determine who is behind this audacious act and to make them pay. My reputation, my authority, my very existence depends on a swift and decisive response. To show weakness, to allow this transgression to go unpunished, would be to invite further attacks, to signal to my rivals that I am vulnerable. The stakes are higher than they have ever been, not just for me, but for everyone under my protection. The storm outside rages on, a fitting backdrop to the internal tempest brewing within me, a tempest of fury and calculated resolve. "You're safe here for now," I tell her, my voice devoid of emotion, a necessary shield against the unexpected surge of protectiveness I feel. "But you need to understand, your presence here puts you in grave danger, and it puts me in a difficult position." Her eyes, still wide with fear, search mine, trying to decipher the meaning behind my words, the unspoken threats and promises that lie beneath the surface. I see the flicker of understanding, The dawning realization that her nightmare is far from over, that she has merely traded one form of captivity for another, albeit a safer one. This is the harsh reality of my world. There are no easy answers, no simple solutions. Every decision comes with a cost, every action with a consequence. And in this moment, the cost of protecting her, of unraveling this mystery, feels immeasurable, a burden that threatens to crush the very foundations of my carefully constructed empire. I activate my secure comms, a discreet earpiece that connects me directly to my most trusted lieutenants. "Get to the mansion now," I order, my voice low and urgent. "Full alert, perimeter breach. I have an unexpected guest." My words are cryptic, designed to convey the gravity of the situation without revealing too much. My security chief, a man named Marcus, responds instantly, his voice calm and efficient, a reassuring presence in the swirling chaos. "On my way, boss. ETA 10 minutes. What's the situation?" I hesitate, weighing my words carefully. "A civilian, abducted, found in the guest suite. No signs of struggle beyond the initial abduction. She's unharmed but terrified. I need a full sweep of the property, inside and out. Find the breach. Find who did this." The silence on the other end of the line is brief, a moment of processing, before Marcus's voice returns, colder, harder. "Understood. We'll find them, boss, and we'll make them regret it." The promise, though grim, offers a sliver of grim satisfaction. Elena watches me, her gaze a mixture of fear and awe, as she witnesses a glimpse into the hidden world I inhabit. The casual authority in my voice, the immediate response from my unseen forces, the chilling promise of retribution, it all paints a picture far removed from her quiet life as a librarian. She is seeing, for the first time, the true nature of the power I wield, the vast network of influence and control that extends far beyond the walls of this isolated mansion. The realization seems to deepen her fear, but also perhaps offers a strange sense of security. She is no longer alone. She is under the protection of a force she cannot comprehend, a force that, for all its inherent danger, is now her only hope. The storm outside continues its relentless assault, but within the mansion, a new kind of storm is brewing, a storm of strategic maneuvers and impending retribution, all centered around this one innocent girl. My thoughts turn to the implications of her presence. If my rivals know she is here, if they orchestrated this abduction to draw me out, then they will be watching, waiting for my next move. Every action I take, every decision I make, will be scrutinized, analyzed, used against me. I need to be careful, precise, to anticipate their next move and counter it before they can inflict further damage. This isn't just about protecting Elena. It's about protecting my entire organization, my legacy, my very life. The stakes are astronomical, and the margin for error is non-existent. I am playing a dangerous game of chess, and Elena is the unexpected queen, a piece that has suddenly appeared on the board, disrupting all my carefully laid plans and forcing me to adapt, to innovate, to fight on unfamiliar terrain. I instruct Elena to remain in the room, assuring her that my men will be here shortly and that she will be safe. Her eyes, still wide with apprehension, nod in understanding, a silent acknowledgement of her precarious situation. I leave the room, closing the door behind me, the click of the latch a final punctuation mark to this unsettling encounter. As I walk back through the dimly lit corridors, the mansion feels different, no longer a sanctuary, but a battleground, a place where the lines between my world and the outside have blurred irrevocably. The storm outside continues its relentless assault, but the real storm, the one that threatens to engulf my empire, is just beginning, and its epicenter is a terrified young woman named Elena, an innocent caught in the crosshairs of a war she never asked to join. My mind races, piecing together the fragments of information, trying to construct a coherent narrative from the chaos. The precision of the abduction, the choice of an innocent, the audacious breach of my security, it all points to a highly sophisticated adversary, someone who understands my weaknesses, my principles, and is willing to exploit them. This isn't the work of a petty rival. This is a calculated move by a formidable opponent. someone who seeks to undermine my authority, to challenge my dominance, to expose my vulnerabilities. The thought sends a cold shiver down my spine, a chilling realization that I am facing an enemy unlike any I have encountered before, an enemy who operates with a level of cunning and ruthlessness that rivals my own. The game has changed, and I must adapt, or perish. I reach my study, the panoramic windows still rattling under the storm's assault. I pour myself another whiskey, the amber liquid swirling in the glass, a momentary distraction from the turmoil in my mind. My gaze falls upon the surveillance monitors, now showing the approaching convoy of black SUVs, their headlights cutting through the rain-soaked darkness. Marcus and his team are here, a reassuring presence, a tangible manifestation of my power and control. But even their arrival cannot erase the unsettling feeling that has taken root within me, the feeling that something fundamental has shifted, that the rules of the game have been irrevocably altered. Elena's presence, her innocent vulnerability, has exposed a crack in my armor, a moral blind spot that my enemies are now exploiting with ruthless efficiency. The next few hours are a blur of activity. Marcus and his men sweep the mansion, their movements precise and efficient, their faces grim with determination. They find no further intruders, no hidden devices, no obvious signs of a struggle beyond the guest suite. The breach, it seems, was a surgical strike, executed with chilling precision, leaving minimal trace. Elena is moved to a more secure location within the mansion, a reinforced panic room where she is questioned by Marcus, his demeanor firm but not aggressive. She reiterates her story, her fear still palpable, her answers consistent. She knows nothing, saw nothing, heard nothing that could identify her captors. Her innocence is beyond doubt, a fact that only deepens the mystery and intensifies the moral burden I now carry. The lack of concrete information is both frustrating and terrifying. It means my enemy is operating in the shadows, their identity concealed, their motives shrouded in secrecy. This is a war of attrition, a psychological battle designed to wear me down, to force me into a mistake. But I am not one to be easily broken. My resolve hardens, my mind sharpening, focusing on the task at hand. I will find them. I will uncover their motives, and I will make them regret the day they dared to cross me, to violate my sanctuary, to endanger an innocent life. The storm outside begins to subside, the rain lessening, the wind dying down. But the storm within me, the storm of calculated fury, is just beginning to gather strength, ready to unleash its full, devastating force. As the first hints of dawn begin to paint the eastern sky, a faint, ethereal glow piercing through the lingering darkness, I stand by the panoramic window of my study, watching the storm clouds slowly dissipate. The world outside, though still wet and bruised, seems to be returning to a semblance of calm. But within me, the turmoil rages on, a relentless tempest of unanswered questions and simmering rage. Elena is safe for now, but her presence here is a constant reminder of the breach, of the vulnerability that has been exposed. My men are still sweeping the perimeter, searching for any overlooked clue, any forgotten trace of the intruders. The silence in the mansion is heavy, pregnant with unspoken tension, a stark contrast to the usual hum of controlled activity. This is not just a security breach, it is a declaration of war, a challenge to my authority, and I will not rest until I have identified my adversary and exacted my retribution. The game has changed, and I am ready to play. The hours that follow blur into a relentless cycle of analysis and strategy. Marcus, my security chief, presents his findings, his voice a low rumble in the quiet of my study. The perimeter defenses were indeed breached, not by brute force, but by a sophisticated electronic bypass, a ghost in the machine that left no physical trace. This level of technical expertise points to a well-funded, highly organized group, not a rogue element. They knew our systems, boss, Marcus states, his eyes grim. They had schematics, access codes, something only an insider or someone with deep intelligence could possess. The words hang heavy in the air, a chilling implication that sends a fresh wave of paranoia through me. An insider. The thought is a poison, spreading through my veins, corrupting the very foundation of trust upon which my empire is built. My gaze sweeps over the faces of my most loyal men, gathered in the room, each one a pillar of my organization. Could one of them be the traitor? The suspicion is unbearable, a corrosive acid eating away at my carefully constructed world. The implications of an insider threat are catastrophic. It means my every move, my every word could be compromised. It means the very people I rely on for my safety and the security of my operations could be working against me. The paranoia, a constant companion in my line of work, intensifies, twisting every glance, every gesture, into a potential sign of betrayal. I watch Marcus, his face impassive, his loyalty unquestioning, yet even he falls under the shadow of suspicion. No one is above reproach when an insider is suspected. This is the ultimate weapon, a dagger plunged into the heart of an organization from within. My mind races, trying to identify potential candidates, to recall any subtle shifts in behavior, any unusual requests, any anomalies that might point to the culprit. The storm outside has long since passed, replaced by a cold, clear dawn. But the storm within me, the tempest of suspicion and betrayal, rages with renewed fury, threatening to consume everything I have built. Elena remains in the reinforced panic room, a silent prisoner, her safety now inextricably linked to my own. Her innocence, once a moral burden, has now become a strategic asset. She is the living proof of the breach, the tangible evidence of my enemy's audacious move. But she is also a vulnerability, a potential liability if her presence here is discovered by the outside world. My priority shifts from mere protection to strategic containment. She cannot leave, not until this threat is neutralized, not until I understand the full scope of this attack. Her life, once her own, is now intertwined with mine, a hostage in a war she never asked to join. The irony is not lost on me. I, the man who prides himself on control, on never being caught off guard, am now forced to adapt, to improvise, to play a game dictated by an unseen adversary, with an innocent girl as the central pawn. I review the surveillance footage from the past 24 hours, frame by agonizing frame, searching for any anomaly, any flicker of an unfamiliar face, any subtle movement that might betray the insider. My eyes ache from the strain, my mind a relentless engine of suspicion. The footage shows nothing out of the ordinary, only the usual comings and goings of my staff, the rhythmic patrols of my security detail, the mundane routines of a well-oiled machine. But the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. The insider, if they exist, is a ghost, a phantom operating in the blind spots of my meticulously designed security network. This level of cunning, this ability to evade detection, only deepens my respect for my adversary, even as it fuels my rage. They are playing a dangerous game, and they are playing it well, forcing me to question everything, everyone. Marcus suggests a full internal audit, a deep dive into the backgrounds and loyalties of every member of my inner circle. It's a necessary step, a painful one, but unavoidable. The process will be slow, meticulous, and will undoubtedly breed resentment and distrust among my ranks. But the alternative, to allow a traitor to fester within my organization, is unthinkable. Start with the tech team, I command, my voice cold and precise. They had the most intimate knowledge of our systems. Then move to logistics. Anyone with access to the mansion's blueprints or security schematics. The orders are given. The wheels of suspicion set in motion, a grim necessity in a world where loyalty is a currency more valuable than gold, and betrayal is the ultimate sin. The atmosphere in the mansion grows heavy with unspoken tension, a palpable sense of unease settling over everyone, as the hunt for the phantom begins. As the day progresses, the tension in the mansion becomes almost unbearable. My men move with a new kind of vigilance, their eyes constantly scanning, their hands never far from their weapons. The usual camaraderie is replaced by a strained silence, a subtle distance that speaks of the burgeoning distrust. Each person looks at the other with a flicker of suspicion, wondering if the person next to them is the one who betrayed us. This is the true genius of my enemy's plan: to sow discord, to erode the very bonds that hold my organization together. They are attacking not just my physical security, but the psychological fabric of my empire, turning my own people against each other. The realization fills me with a cold, hard rage, a determination to not only find the traitor, but to make an example of them that will echo through the annals of our history. I make my way to the panic room, the heavy steel door sliding open with a soft hiss, revealing Elena huddled in a corner, her eyes still wide with fear, but now also with a flicker of something else: resignation. She has accepted her fate, her new reality as a prisoner in a gilded cage. "Any new information?" I ask, my voice softer than usual, a concession to her innocence. She shakes her head, her gaze fixed on the floor. "No, just waiting." Her simple answer is a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict, the innocent lives caught in the crossfire of my brutal world. I feel a pang of something akin to guilt, a rare and unwelcome emotion that I quickly suppress. Sentiment is a weakness, a luxury I cannot afford. But her presence, her quiet suffering, is a constant weight on my conscience, a moral burden that complicates every strategic decision I make. I sit opposite her, the silence stretching between us, broken only by the faint hum of the ventilation system. "We believe there's an insider," I tell her, my voice low, almost a confession. Her eyes widen, a fresh wave of fear washing over her face. "Someone here?" she whispers, the implication chilling her to the bone. "Yes," I confirm, my gaze unwavering. "Someone who knew our systems, our weaknesses. Someone who helped them bring you here. The truth, though harsh, is necessary. She needs to understand the gravity of her situation, the intricate web of betrayal and danger that now surrounds her. Her role, though unwitting, is central to this unfolding drama, and her understanding, however limited, is crucial. The revelation seems to deepen her sense of helplessness, but also, perhaps, offers a strange sense of clarity, a clearer picture of the terrifying reality she now inhabits. "Why me?" she asks, her voice barely audible, a desperate plea for understanding. "I don't know anyone. I have no enemies." Her question hangs in the air, a poignant reminder of her utter innocence, her complete disconnect from the world of power and violence. "That's what we're trying to figure out," I reply, my voice tinged with a frustration I rarely allow myself to show. "You're a pawn, Elena, a message, but we don't know what the message is or who it's for." The words are brutal, but honest. She needs to understand that she is not the target, but merely the instrument, a tool in a larger game. The realization seems to drain the last vestiges of hope from her face, leaving behind a profound sense of despair. This is the moment of climax, the point of no return, where her fate and mine become irrevocably intertwined, where the moral dilemma I face intensifies to an unbearable degree. I leave Elena in the panic room, the heavy door sealing her inside, a symbol of both her protection and her captivity. The weight of her despair, her unanswered questions, presses down on me as I return to my study, the hub of my operations. Marcus is waiting, his face grim. "We've found something, boss," he says, his voice low and urgent. "A microtransmitter, embedded in the frame of the guest suite window. Military grade. It was broadcasting a low-frequency signal. A beacon." My blood runs cold. A beacon. They weren't just leaving her. They were marking her, signaling her location, perhaps to a retrieval team, or worse, to a hit squad. This isn't just about psychological warfare. It's about a direct, imminent threat. The stakes have just escalated exponentially, transforming this intricate game of chess into a brutal, no-holds-barred fight for survival. "Can you trace it?" I demand, my voice a low growl, my fists clenching at my sides. Marcus shakes his head. "Too late. It was a one-time burst. But the technology, it's not ours. It's not any of our known rivals either. This is a new player, boss, or someone with access to very advanced tech." The news sends a fresh wave of unease through me. A new player. An unknown enemy. This complicates everything, forcing me to reevaluate my entire strategic framework. I am facing an adversary whose capabilities and intentions are shrouded in complete mystery, an enemy who operates with a level of sophistication that is both terrifying and deeply unsettling. The game has just become infinitely more dangerous, and my margin for error has shrunk to zero. The realization that Elena was a beacon, a living GPS tracker, sends a chilling wave of understanding through me. Her abduction wasn't just a message, it was a trap, a calculated move to draw me out, to expose my location, to lure me into a confrontation on their terms. My mansion, once an impenetrable fortress, has been compromised, its location now known to an unknown enemy. The sense of violation is profound, a deep-seated rage that burns through my veins. They dared to use my home, my sanctuary, as a staging ground for their insidious plan. This is an unforgivable transgression, a direct challenge to my authority that demands an immediate and devastating response. The storm outside has given way to a deceptive calm, but within the mansion, the true storm, the storm of impending conflict, is gathering its full, destructive force. My gaze falls upon the map of the surrounding area, spread out on my desk, a detailed topographical representation of the vast, isolated wilderness that surrounds my mansion. The transmitter, though no longer active, would have broadcast its signal to a specific location, a rendezvous point, a base of operations. My mind races, trying to deduce the most likely trajectory, the most logical staging area for an operation of this magnitude. The rural roads, the dense forests, the abandoned industrial warehouses, all potential hiding places for an enemy who operates with such stealth and precision. I need to find them, and I need to find them now, before they can launch their next move, before they can inflict further damage. The clock is ticking, and the stakes are higher than they have ever been. Mobilize the teams, I order, my voice cold and resolute. Full offensive. Sweep the surrounding area. Focus on abandoned industrial sites, remote cabins, anything that could serve as a temporary base. I want every inch of this territory covered, and I want them found. Marcus nods, his face grim but determined. Understood, boss. We'll move out immediately. The words are a declaration of war, a promise of swift and brutal retribution. The calm that had settled over the mansion is shattered, replaced by a flurry of controlled activity, the quiet hum of preparations for battle. My men, hardened and loyal, move with a sense of grim purpose, their faces reflecting the same cold fury that burns within me. The hunt has begun, and my enemy, whoever they may be, is about to learn the true meaning of my wrath. I return to the panic room, the heavy door sliding open once more. Elena looks up, her eyes questioning, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, the heightened tension that now permeates the mansion. We found a transmitter, I tell her, my voice devoid of emotion. They were tracking you. They knew you were here. Her face pales further, the realization of her continued peril washing over her. What does that mean? She whispers, her voice trembling. It means they're coming, I reply, my gaze unwavering. Or they're waiting. Either way, we're going to them. The words hang in the air, a chilling promise of impending conflict, a stark reminder that her nightmare is far from over, and that her fate is now inextricably linked to the brutal war that is about to unfold. The decision is made, the course of action set. I will not wait for them to come to me. I will take the fight to them. This is my territory, my domain, and I will not allow an unknown enemy to operate with impunity within its borders. My reputation, my authority, my very existence depends on a swift and decisive response. Elena, though an innocent, is now a catalyst, the spark that has ignited a powder keg of retribution. Her presence here, her unwitting role in this conflict, has forced my hand, pushing me beyond the boundaries of my usual caution into a direct confrontation with an enemy whose identity remains shrouded in mystery. The climax has arrived, the moment of greatest risk and highest suspense, and I am ready to face it, whatever the cost. The convoy of black SUVs cuts through the pre-dawn darkness, their powerful engines rumbling a low, menacing growl that vibrates through the very ground beneath us. The air inside my lead vehicle is thick with unspoken tension, a palpable energy that crackles between my men, each one a hardened veteran of countless skirmishes. My gaze sweeps over their faces, illuminated by the faint glow of the dashboard lights. Grim, determined, ready for whatever awaits us. Marcus sits beside me, his eyes fixed on the road ahead, his hand resting on the weapon holstered at his hip, a silent testament to his unwavering readiness. The rural road, unlit and winding, is swallowed by the dense forest on either side, a claustrophobic tunnel of shadows that seems to stretch endlessly into the unknown. We are hunting ghosts, an enemy whose face remains unseen, whose motives are still shrouded in mystery, but whose audacity has earned them my full and undivided wrath. My mind replays Elena's terrified face, her whispered pleas, her utter innocence. Her image fuels my resolve, hardening my heart against any lingering doubts. This isn't just about territory or power. It's about a fundamental breach of my code, a violation of the unspoken rules that govern even our brutal world. To use an innocent, to endanger a civilian in such a callous manner, is an unforgivable sin, a transgression that demands the harshest retribution. The thought of what they might have done to her, what they intended to do, sends a cold wave of fury through me, a primal urge to protect, to avenge. This is a personal war now, a vendetta fueled by a sense of justice that in my world is often dispensed with swift and brutal efficiency. The forest outside rushes past, a blur of dark shapes, as we speed towards the unknown, towards the inevitable confrontation. The intel, though sparse, points to an abandoned industrial warehouse complex, deep within the remote wilderness, a place long forgotten by the outside world. It's a logical choice for an enemy who values stealth and isolation, a perfect staging ground for their insidious operations. As we approach, the faint outline of towering structures emerges from the pre-dawn gloom, stark silhouettes against the slowly lightening sky. The air grows colder, heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying metal, a grim welcome to this desolate battleground. My hand instinctively tightens on the grip of my weapon, the familiar weight a comforting presence in the face of the unknown. This is it, the moment of truth, the confrontation I have been preparing for, strategizing for since Elena's terrified whimper first pierced the silence of my mansion. We deploy with practiced efficiency, my men fanning out, moving like shadows through the overgrown weeds and crumbling concrete, their movements silent, precise. The warehouse complex is vast, a labyrinth of rusted metal and broken windows, each building a potential hiding place, a potential ambush point. My senses are hyper-alert, every sound, every shadow, every subtle shift in the wind, scrutinized for any sign of the enemy. The silence is deafening, broken only by the crunch of our boots on gravel and the distant calls of nocturnal birds, sounds that seem amplified in the tense stillness. This is their territory, their chosen battleground, and they will undoubtedly have traps, ambushes, surprises waiting for us. But I am ready. My men are ready. We are a force of nature, a storm of retribution, unleashed upon an unsuspecting enemy. As we breach the first warehouse, the air inside is cold and stale, heavy with the scent of dust and decay. Shafts of pale pre-dawn light pierce through the broken windows, illuminating dancing motes of dust and casting long, eerie shadows that seem to stretch and writhe with malevolent intent. The vast space is empty, a cavernous void of rusting machinery and forgotten dreams. But as we move deeper, a faint hum, a low, almost imperceptible vibration, reaches my ears. It's electronic, precise, a sound that speaks of advanced technology, of sophisticated equipment. My eyes narrow, my gaze sweeping across the cavernous space, searching for the source. This is not an abandoned site, it's a hidden lair, a clandestine operation, and we have stumbled upon the heart of my enemy's domain. The realization sends a fresh wave of adrenaline coursing through my veins, sharpening my focus, preparing me for the inevitable confrontation. We find them in the central warehouse, a hive of activity, a clandestine operation humming with quiet efficiency. Men in dark tactical gear move with practiced ease, their faces obscured by balaclavas, their movements precise and coordinated. They are not my usual rivals. These are professionals, highly trained, well-equipped, operating with a level of discipline that speaks of military precision. My gaze sweeps over the advanced equipment, the banks of flickering monitors, the sophisticated communication arrays. This is not a small-time operation. This is a formidable adversary, a force to be reckoned with. The sight fills me with a grim satisfaction. I have found them. The hunt is over. Now, the battle begins. My hand raises, a silent signal to my men, and in an instant, the quiet hum of their operation is shattered by the thunderous roar of gunfire, the air erupting into a maelstrom of violence and chaos. The firefight is brutal, intense, a symphony of destruction that echoes through the cavernous warehouse. My men move with deadly efficiency, their training and experience evident in every precise shot, every fluid movement. The enemy, though skilled, is caught off guard, their surprise evident in their initial disarray. But they quickly regroup, their discipline holding, returning fire with a ferocity that speaks of their own training and resolve. Bullets rip through metal, sparks fly, and the air fills with the acrid scent of gunpowder and ozone. I move through the chaos, my weapon a natural extension of my arm, my senses heightened, my mind a cold, calculating machine. This is my world, my element, and in this moment of brutal confrontation, I feel a strange sense of clarity, a primal satisfaction in the raw, unadulterated violence of battle. The falling action has begun, the consequences of the climax now unfolding in a hail of bullets and a symphony of destruction. As the battle rages, I notice a figure, taller than the others, moving with a distinct authority, directing the enemy's forces with calm precision. He is not fighting. He is commanding, his voice a low, guttural roar that cuts through the din of gunfire. My eyes narrow, my gaze fixed on him. This is the leader, the architect of this audacious plan, the one who dared to breach my sanctuary, to endanger an innocent. My focus shifts, my objective clear. I need to reach him, to confront him, to extract the answers I seek. My path through the chaos is direct, ruthless, cutting through the enemy's ranks with a single-minded determination. This is not just a firefight. It's a personal vendetta, a quest for retribution that will not be satisfied until I stand face to face with the man who orchestrated Elena's abduction. I fight my way through the enemy's lines, my men providing cover, clearing a path through the maelstrom of violence. The leader sees me coming, his eyes, visible through the slits of his balaclava, meeting mine with a flicker of recognition, a hint of surprise, and then a cold, calculating resolve. He knows who I am. He expected me. This was all part of his plan, a calculated trap designed to lure me into a direct confrontation. The realization sends a fresh wave of fury through me, a burning rage that sharpens my focus, fuels my determination. He is not just an adversary. He is a manipulator, a strategist, a player in a game far more intricate than I initially imagined. The battle around us fades into a blur. The only thing that matters is the path to him, the inevitable confrontation that will decide the fate of this war. I finally reach him, the last of his men falling around him, leaving us standing face to face amidst the chaos, the sounds of the ongoing firefight a distant roar. He removes his balaclava, revealing a face I do not recognize. A man in his late 40s, with cold, intelligent eyes and a cruel smile that plays on his lips. "I knew you'd come," he says, his voice calm, almost conversational, despite the carnage surrounding us. "You always do. You can't resist a challenge, can you? Especially when an innocent is involved." His words cut deep, a precise strike at my moral blind spot, at the very weakness he exploited. "Who are you?" I demand, my voice a low growl, my weapon still trained on him. "And why Elena?" The questions hang in the air, heavy with unspoken urgency, demanding answers that will unravel the mystery, that will explain the audacity of his actions. He chuckles, a dry, humorless sound that grates on my nerves. "My name is irrelevant," he replies, his eyes gleaming with a predatory intelligence. "As for Elena, She was merely a catalyst, a means to an end, a way to draw you out, to expose your vulnerabilities, to show the world that even the great my name can be manipulated, can be broken. His words are a direct challenge, a psychological assault designed to provoke, to infuriate. But I will not give him the satisfaction. My face remains impassive, my gaze unwavering, my resolve hardening with each word he utters. He underestimated me. He underestimated my control, my discipline, my ability to compartmentalize emotion and focus on the task at hand. He may have drawn me out, but he has not broken me. You made a mistake, I tell him, my voice cold and precise. You violated my sanctuary. You endangered an innocent. And now, you will pay the price. His smile falters, a flicker of something akin to surprise crossing his face. He expected rage, perhaps, or desperation, but not this cold, calculated resolve. You think you can stop me, he scoffs, a hint of arrogance returning to his voice. This is just the beginning. Your empire is crumbling from within. The insider, they're already in place. They're waiting for my signal. His words are a chilling revelation, confirming my worst fears, the existence of a traitor within my own ranks. The falling action continues, the consequences of the climax now revealing a deeper, more insidious threat. My gaze hardens, my mind racing, trying to decipher the meaning behind his words, to identify the traitor, to understand the full scope of his insidious plan. He is not just a rival, he is a master manipulator, a puppeteer pulling strings from the shadows, using my own people against me. The battle around us slowly subsides, my men having neutralized the remaining enemy forces, their attention now turning to us, their weapons trained on the man before me. The silence that descends upon the warehouse is heavy, pregnant with unspoken tension, as the fate of my empire hangs in the balance, resting on the outcome of this confrontation. The aftermath of the battle is a grim tableau of destruction, a stark reminder of the brutal cost of this war, a war that is far from over. Who is it? I demand, my voice a low growl, my patience wearing thin. Who is the traitor? He laughs, a triumphant, mocking sound that echoes through the cavernous warehouse. You'll find out soon enough, he replies, his eyes gleaming with a malicious satisfaction. And when you do, it will be too late. Your empire will fall, and I will be there to pick up the pieces. His words are a declaration of victory, a chilling promise of impending doom. But I am not one to be easily defeated. My resolve hardens, my mind sharpening, focusing on the task at hand. I will not let him win. I will not let my empire fall. I will find the traitor, and I will make him regret the day he dared to challenge me, to threaten everything I have built. The confrontation ends not with a bang, but with a chilling whisper, a promise of future conflict, a revelation of a deeper, more insidious threat. He is taken into custody, his smug smile unwavering, his eyes still gleaming with a triumphant malice. My men secure the warehouse, gathering evidence, searching for clues, trying to unravel the intricate web of his operations. The battle is over, but the war has just begun. The aftermath is a grim tableau of destruction, a stark reminder of the brutal cost of this conflict. But amidst the chaos, a new resolve takes root within me, a fierce determination to protect my empire, to uncover the traitor, and to exact my retribution. The ambiguous outcome of this confrontation leaves me with more questions than answers, a chilling sense of unease, and the unsettling realization that the true enemy may still be lurking in the shadows, waiting for their moment to strike. I return to the mansion, the journey back a blur of exhaustion and grim determination. Elena is still in the panic room, her face pale, her eyes wide with apprehension. What happened? She asks, her voice trembling. Did you find them? I nod, my gaze unwavering. We found them, and we found out they have an insider, someone in my organization. Her eyes widen further, a fresh wave of fear washing over her face. What does that mean for me? She whispers, her voice barely audible. It means, I reply, my voice low and grim, that you're still not safe, and neither am I. The war has just begun, Elena. and you're still in the middle of it. The words hang in the air, a chilling promise of continued peril, an ambiguous outcome that leaves her and me in a state of precarious uncertainty, the true resolution still far out of reach. The mansion, once a sanctuary, now feels like a gilded cage, every shadow a potential hiding place for the unseen traitor, every familiar face a mask that might conceal betrayal. Elena remains in the panic room, a constant, silent reminder of the war that has irrevocably altered my world. Her innocent presence a stark contrast to the brutal realities I now face daily. The captured leader, his smug smile still haunting my thoughts, offered no names, no concrete evidence of the insider, only cryptic hints and a chilling promise of my empire's downfall. My men are on high alert, their vigilance strained by the pervasive distrust, their loyalty tested by the insidious whispers of an enemy within. I spend my nights poring over financial records, surveillance logs, and personnel files, searching for the anomaly, the subtle discrepancy that will expose the serpent in my garden. The storm has passed, but the air remains heavy, charged with an electric tension, a palpable sense of impending doom that clings to every corner of my vast estate. I know they are watching, waiting, and I am ready, my resolve hardened, my senses sharpened by the bitter taste of betrayal. The game has indeed changed, and while I have secured Elena's immediate safety, the true battle for my empire, for my very soul, has only just begun, its outcome hanging precariously in the balance, a future shrouded in a suspenseful, uncertain haze.